Hello, Sadaka here. So I have to make this video or I will never make this video. I'm sitting here for like 15 minutes just kind of trying to figure out exactly what it was I wanted to do and trying not to go crazy with information. Some people have been having a little bit of a difficult time this month. It is January 2020. Happy New Year and such. Um, and a friend told me that some healers were going to have a hard month this month. And I didn't really feel anything until a couple days ago. And it was basically just, I'll get this weird experience where I'm just sitting there and I'll have basically what to me amounts to like a dream image enter my mind. And there's some weird slightly negative emotional attachment to it, and then it's just sort of there, in my field, and I like can feel it around it, and I don't exactly know what to do with it, and that happens very often, I think, with the new moon coming. That was mentioned too, and things start to slough off. If you guys don't know the concept of the Hun and Po souls, I suggest you look that up. Hun, Hun, and Po, Po. It's a concept in Taoism which is really central to the makeup of the soul, or the makeup of the person, the spirit. You have a Hun spirit, which is the solar spirit, which is supposed to reside in your liver. I'd just say, don't even think about the bodily associations, just because there's a lot more rich meaning in the Taoist associations with the organ systems and stuff like that. It doesn't just necessarily mean liver, but it's the solar radiance. It's the yang energy, and you have a sort of soul or spirit, a body that is non-corporeal. That's the spirit that animates everything. It's the active principle. The Po soul is the dregs that are the physical matter of your body, and also has to do with the dream world. So it's thought that the Po soul is responsible for dreaming, and it is the lunar aspect of your spirit. So you have a spirit or a body that is based around that is the Po soul, as lunar and the yin aspect of things. So it's constantly decaying and passing away because it is yin. It is also, because of that, or for that reason, associated with the physical body in terms of the stuff that's left over when you die, right? So a corpse. So it's got all these weird associations, especially how Taoists get, and there are all of these things to talk about, and probably superstitions and whatnot. And it's these philosophical concepts, they get built up over time. So the actual experience of these spirits is up to you. It's up to you and me, and that kind of thing. I wasn't going to get too far into that, but that seems where we've gone, to be where we've gone. And what I wanted to do was a balancing with the Akadua, which is a solar energy, but it has all the frequencies, because solar pretty much encompasses everything. Everything comes from the sun anyway. And balancing, and you could say feeding or energizing those spirits. I've had philosophical conundrums when it comes to figuring out whether or not the Po soul is something that you can or should feed, in a sense, like if it's responsible for that passing away, the decaying of physical matter, the sloughing off of energy, as opposed to storing it up, cultivating it, building it in the yang sense, which would be the Hun soul, sort of. It stands to reason that you would feed it energy, so that it was using that energy to do its decaying stuff, as opposed to, decaying your physical energy or making you sick or something. I don't know. It's difficult. It's difficult. I've tried a lot of different things, and it's an interesting energy body to get into. They seem very ethereal. And I think that the point, and this comes more from the stuff that I've been reading in Coyote's work lately, which is about the dream body and the dream self and this space that one gets into, and how consciousness is sort of reversed in this way. So we're always dreaming, whether we're awake or not. That stuff is always happening in the back of our like unconscious mind, right? So the soul, you could say, that dream body is always experiencing some things. The when we're waking, that's it's like so hard to describe. I shouldn't try to combine these things until I've done like a further study of it. But it seems to me that the point is sort of to cross those bodies, to combine them, as it were, to, in your dreaming state, be able to have that Hoon consciousness come into that dream space and wake up within the dream. That's all the stuff that I've been doing in Coyote's book, The Golden Flower, which is funny that it's the golden flower because that's a very common image in Taoism, you know, and his stuff is all about Toltec shamanism, Nagualism, and all that. That's what you're trying to do, is bring enough consciousness and energy to that energy body, to that dream body when you're sleeping and dreaming, that you wake up in the dream. And so you're trying to bring more of that waking type consciousness into the dream world, and vice versa. The stuff that's interesting about the Toltecs is that they were trying to live within the dream when they were waking. So becoming aware that you're dreaming while you're awake, it's the same thing. So while we're in that waking consciousness, we would be cultivating more of that dream body to come into that space, to come into that awareness, so that we can work magic. So what I want to do is a balancing with the Akadwa, which is solar and lunar energy combined. I was doing it, and I'm like, okay, I'm down here, and I'm telling you guys to ground, and I'm telling you guys to connect to the sun, and then I'm like, I really just want to make it as simple as possible and just make it one thing, you know, is that you're just sitting there concentrating on one thing, if anything, and just allowing that energy to come into you and absorb it and whatnot. I still don't have any musics. Oh well. Yeah, I guess we'll do that. So, I recommend that you watch my other video on the draining exercise, which is great to do relaxation and relieving of tension and connecting to the earth, essentially, doing that before you do this, or do any type of relaxation, breathing exercises, and so on. So, we'll just go for it, I guess. I will be creating this space of lunar and solar Akadwa combined. If you have the Akadwa, then you're welcome to activate it. Just be present with it. That's the whole crux of the mental attitude. Just be present with everything that I'm telling you to concentrate on, which is really only going to be like two things. So, the heart space, and stay there. Go into your heart space. Imagine yourself like this guy, right in the center of your heart space, and that's you, in your perfect aspect, completely surrounded by a sphere of combined solar and lunar energy. It can be whatever color you want. For me, it always turns into this sort of like shiny combination of like blue and gold, sort of. It's strange because, you know, it should probably make green. Imagine yourself sitting within a sphere of the sun, sitting within a sphere of the moon, within each other, within the center of your chest. make it three-dimensional, that it is a sphere, not just a circle, and you can feel that. As you imagine yourself in this sphere of energy in the center of your chest, become aware that you are in the center of this sphere of energy. It's just an image, a holographic image, meaning you're creating a smaller version of what's actually going on around you. So the phrase once in a great book was imagine yourself within the moon and the moon within yourself. That's what we're doing here. If you want to, you can extend it back and you can see the spheres surrounding your physical body. You can move out again and see yourself as a sphere in the heavens. Every time you breathe directly into the exact center of this sphere. And every sphere you've imagined breathes with you. You don't have to do the visualization, you just have to believe that these things are happening. But I imagine that most people will use some visualization as it's going on. If you're still with the image of yourself, allow yourself to dissolve into the sphere. Let go of your conception of your body. Just be the energy. Okay, come back into a good place. After that, you should feel a dispersion of your energy, but you should also feel expanded and some good stuff in the central channel, I'm thinking. Because obviously we're balancing yin and yang, we're balancing masculine and feminine. Everybody always likes to go to the masculine and feminine stuff. I don't particularly, just because it makes us think weird gendered thoughts, which really this energy is just energy, and it shouldn't have those types of associations with it anyway. But definitely we have different currents running through us. These things need to not just be balanced, the flow needs to be opened up with them. I find for me, I get like weird stuff on my left side, and I'm always like, and moving around and getting muscular tension in places that I shouldn't have muscular tension. I'll find myself sitting like this, and I'll be like, how come I was, like so biased in my muscle, whatever. You can get through a lot of that stuff by paying attention to the body and doing the draining exercise, which is a separate video, or buy the book Akandwa Energy. It should be available on Amazon. It's in there. Or by doing sung breathing, which is a Taoist practice, which basically you get into the corpse pose and examine every part of your body, and then you go into the tissues and breathe, and the tendons and the muscles and everything, It's a really great way to do the same thing. Release tension, release blockages, and not just physical stuff, but eventually you'll start feeling those currents and you'll start balancing out. What else did I want to say about this one? As far as the two spirits go, the Hun spirit that you have, that's basically, what the solar aspect of the Akadawa is for. The lunar is what the other one is for. But the reason that I'm combining these things is because when you're thinking of things in a polarized sense, it's what do you do? Like I said before, do I feed the Po soul? Do I just encourage the Hun soul, since that's the yang one, and that's the one that people think is more with dynamic energy and life stuff? Or do I just try to have a unified, expanded energy that accepts and possibly nourishes, if necessary, or protects from the other spirit, if necessary, both? You know what I mean? Like, you get it? So that's to me what actual balance is when you're finding this kind of stuff. It's the in-between, right? Anyway, just some food for thought. So, and if you've never been in here, obviously, this is me just doing energy work, like, proper. I'm holding a space, I'm opening a space, really, with the Akadawa, and then intending that all this energy come through it. No music, no light language, all that stuff can be separate. Sometimes it's just distracting. I think this is probably more the type of stuff I'm going to be doing in the future, even though it seems more boring.